Hi there, I'm Robert Thomsen, and I'm coming to you from the perspective of a full-time salon stylist. Today I'm going to demonstrate for you a loosely layered bob. I affectionately call it the flexible flirt. So let's get started. So first thing I'm going to do with my model is I'm going to section her out. We're going to use a slightly diagonal parting right back to the crown. And then we'll isolate our fringe section along with our two front pieces. So I have my model pre-sectioned. I took my sectioning from the point of distribution, not necessarily the top of the head.
I like to focus on the point of distribution and the hairline when I'm determining how to do my haircut, because that's gonna tell me what my end result's gonna end up like and how that hair's gonna react.
I went right down the center back, so we have 4 quadrants with an isolated fringe area. Now I'm gonna start in the back, taking horizontal sections, bringing them down to create my outline. So let's get started. So taking a healthy size section, my model has fine hair. I want to make sure we get a strong baseline in there. And we're going to start here, working from the center out to each side. I took a baseline section, and I'm using a cutting collar because where this hair is going to fall, it's really important to make sure that you have 0 elevation. We're going to create that strong baseline that's ultimately going to be a little bit longer towards the front.
The benefit of a cutting collar, it gives you a great surface to work on, make sure your cape is out of the way, it won't interrupt your line, and it also has a little bit of a weight to it, so your clients focus on their posture, release their shoulders, and they sit up straight.
So I'm going to lift up this section with my scissors, comb through, and then follow the line of my comb to create that baseline. So that side's complete. I'm going to go to the other side. Same routine, hold with the scissors, comb through, very light tension. And then just check for balance. See how this feels. Make sure not to pull too tight because you don't want to misread what's going on at the hairline. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to continue up the back of the head, same fashion. Horizontal subsections, light tension, and 0 elevation. So I have my next section down. I'm gonna go in the same fashion. You can see my guide clearly there. Now I'm gonna continue on the other side. Perfect. So got our strong baseline. As I work my way up the head in the same fashion with the horizontal sections, I'm going to have my model continue to tilt her head slightly up to see that natural fall of the hair. So I'm continuing taking about, 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch section. Not too big, but again, not too small because we want that nice strong line. But I'm going to continue in the same manner, working from the center out, holding that hair with light tension. And as you see, as she tilts her head up a little bit, the fall of the hair starts to change. Some people, they jump a lot, some people not at all. So what I'm doing is I'm just assessing exactly where my baseline is going to fall, making sure that I get that strong outline I'm looking for. So the back's complete. I'm gonna just check for balance. Everything looks good. And with that complete, now we'll move to the side. So I'm gonna take my first section through the side. A good size section, we wanna make sure that baseline's created. Using a diagonal forward section, making sure to stand back by the shoulder so I overdirect that hair back and maintain that A-line effect. I want the hair to fall right on her collarbone. That's what gives this look that little bit of edge. It's not your typical 1-length bob. Taking this hair back on my fingers, holding the point of my middle finger right on top of her shoulder, so we can see it's mirroring the sectioning that I'm taking. Something really important to do though is to take the flat of your scissors, just kind of loosen up that tension a little bit because her ear is poking out and you don't want to create a hole there. You want that to be a nice strong outline. So now because I stood behind her, we've got a little extra length right here, hitting right into that collarbone area where I want it to fall. Another diagonal forward parting. So working with this little bit of hair behind the ear as my guide. I'm going to subdivide this into two. As we reach the top of the head, those sections are going to get a little bit wider, so it's easier for access to just use two sections rather than try to do it all at once. Moving in the same manner, loosening up that tension over her ear and below her ear, help make sure we have a little bit of play when we look at it dry. So now as this falls, we're starting to see a stronger line right where we want it. Moving through the sides again the same manner, pulling back to the shoulder and loosening up that tension over the ear. So I've reached the top of my sections here. I'm right at the top of the head. Combing through with the fine teeth, making sure all this hair is perfectly in line. All right, so we're 3/4 of the way done with our baseline. We finished her right side. We're gonna move to her left in the same manner. Diagonal forward partings. I'm gonna stand at her shoulder, bring everything back, and keeping that A-line effect falling right at the collarbone. All right, so now with the outline done, we're gonna move to the center back and start our layering structure. We're taking a center profile section. We're gonna do a 90-degree layer shape, but we're gonna move from the apex this time because I wanna use pie-shaped sections to make sure that the hair falls exactly where it's gonna live. So just for organization's sake, we're gonna section this out first and push the hair in front of her ears out of the way. Going right to the top of the head where that comb starts to lift. I'm gonna section right down to her ear. So now I'm creating my center profile section. I'm gonna hold this out, so 90 degrees to the head shape. As you can see, our outline dropped out a little bit. Now I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna begin to point cut because this is a great way to give it a nice soft edge. You know, some people like to use the razor to create the soft edge, but you can do it with the shears too. So I'm gonna go in right here, work my way up to the crown. So there we have our guide. We're gonna continue to move, pivoting from this point towards the ear, pie-shaped sections. And then when we get to this section behind the ear, pull back ever so slightly to make sure we keep that strength. So using the wide teeth of the comb to section, pushing the hair out of the way that I don't need, and then fine teeth of the comb to make sure that it's nice and in line and we're not losing any of that tension. I'm not deeply point cutting with my model because her hair is fine. I don't want to shatter out that edge too much. If I want to loosen it up and give it more of that movement, I can always assess that when it's dry. We're almost complete. We're at this last pie-shaped section here. I'm going to over-direct slightly back just to make sure we don't lose that strength around the hairline. And as I lift up the hair here, you can see where my guideline is, where I'm working to. We completed one side of the back of our layer structure. We're gonna continue to move through her left side in the same manner, pie-shaped sections, pivoting off of the apex, 90 degrees to the head shape, dropping out that perimeter.
The thing that sets a flexible flirt apart from other haircuts is that it can work on so many different people. Young, old, in between. When somebody has long hair that might not feel so great, when you trim it up and the ends look awesome, they feel awesome.
All right, so I've reached my last section for my layers on her left side. I'm actually gonna switch my body position and make sure to stand behind her and pull that section back to me so you don't throw off the balance of your layering. So I'm gonna use vertical sectioning now as I move to the hairline, pulling everything back to this existing layer line. This is a really important part of this cut because you don't wanna overlayer what's going on in front of the ear before it's dry, and you can do that detailing to see where you want that movement to live. Letting a little bit of that perimeter drop out. I'm gonna continue to move forward now in vertical sectioning, over directing back to where that layer line is. We're almost complete here. We have just the very front of the hairline left over. So you wanna make sure to stretch this back, retaining all that length. So I've reached my last section here, over directing all the way back. And there's really nothing left to cut because we have all of this length kept in the front. We'll be able to play with that a little bit later. So now I'm gonna begin to work through the other side in the same manner, keeping my body position the same behind the shoulder, pulling all that hair back in the same way. Combing out at 90. Letting that perimeter drop out. Looking for my guide. And we're gonna point cut straight through. Coming all the way back. And there's really not much left to cut there. We only have a little bit. So our layers are complete through the sides. So now we're gonna move into our fringe area in our face frame. We're gonna drop this section down. We're gonna keep it around her cheekbone. She's got a beautiful face shape, so we wanna accent that cheekbone. And I think that almost bi-level line looks really great with her cheekbone and then her collarbone being accented. She naturally parts over on the left side, so I'm gonna stand on the left and over direct everything towards me so it has a little bit of that extra length to swing over to the right. I'm gonna take a slightly diagonal parting. So when I trim this, I'm gonna gauge where I want that to fall, bring it over this way, and move with that same diagonal line that I used to part. So I'm gonna take down my next section. She has fine hair, so I should be able to do this in about 3 sections. If someone has thick hair, you wanna make sure you structure it in slowly. I've decided to cut this bluntly, simply because of the fine hair that she has around the hairline. Last section here. Keeping with that 1 finger elevation. So now that my fringe is done, and I've completed the outline and my layers, I just wanna go right in here to the face frame and create a little softness. I'm gonna use my shears, you could use the razor, you could even wait until it's dry and detail it then. I'm gonna put a little bit of structure in now and then really fine tune it after I've blown it out. So I'm taking my first section from my face frame. You want to pay close attention to your client's hairline, the recession points, if there's some weakness. You don't want to take off too much. I'm going to comb this down and slightly forward. And then looking at where I want that point to start, I'm going to place my shears on top of my finger, and I'm going to slowly open and close as I go down, creating a nice fluid line. Constantly moving. So I'm going to move into my next section, drop it down in the same way. This will probably be my last section because I don't want to go too much further beyond the ear. You want to pay close attention to the density in front of the hairline. We're going to move to her right side now. So I'm going to go in here, find where I want my point to begin, opening and closing my shears while I slide down that section to create that fluid, kind of C-shaped line. All right, so we've completed the cut. We're gonna blow it out smooth, a little bit of volume at the roots, but then we're gonna detail, see if there's any weighty areas we wanna loosen up, give it a little extra swing. And then I'm even gonna do a secondary styling option for you just to see the versatility of this cut. We're back with my model. It's got really nice swing. I'm really happy with how the haircut came out. So I'm gonna take a section right here. I'm gonna slice through the ends. Not really trying to disturb too much of that outline, just give it that internal movement. Now I'm gonna move over to this side. I'm gonna slice through from behind. I'm gonna do the same on the other side. I'm holding this section down and around, mirroring where the hair is gonna fall. We finished our final detailing. Now we're gonna show you the versatility of this flexible, flirty style and really put it over the top for the client in your chair. Just gonna take a few sections around the hairline to give it some bend, a little bit of that bohemian wave with the flat iron. So not only does it have value for your client to see something new with a tool they're not used to using, but it has a looseness and softness that's really popular on the runways and in everyday salon work. All right, so I've taken a section in front of the ear, and then I'm gonna go in vertically with my flat iron, gently pressing, and as I get about halfway down, I'm gonna turn the flat iron while I'm holding the hair, pulling through gently, even tension, to give a little bit of that bend back. Now I'm gonna take the second section over the top of it, holding the iron vertically, pressing gently, about halfway, flip it around, pull through, nice even tension, even movement, and then we'll work this through so she's got a nice soft movement all throughout the hair. So here we're finished with the flexible flirt. Got a great alternative styling option for your clients. It's got looseness, it's got movement, it's bohemian, it's very modern. She can do so much with this, and I think she looks awesome. Give it a shake. Thanks for watching, guys.
I'm thrilled at the way that this haircut turned out. It has flexibility. You can use it every day in the salon. I am overwhelmed at the fact that I got a chance to be part of this. But without the strong foundation of cutting and color skills, being here wouldn't have been possible.